Okay, let's talk some more college football because we haven't had a chance to with guessing lines yesterday. Pete Fiutak joins us from College Football News. How you doing, Peter?
Speaking of hey, how's it going? Great, nice intro for me there.
That's right. It's a great transition, Pete. I'll do that next time.
I appreciate it. I'd rather be known as the greatest quarterback in New York during the '90s who didn't play. But But be that as it may, I'm doing just fine.
All right, we got a lot to get to. One, let's talk about last week before we get to a bunch of really good games this week. Colorado needs a furious comeback, and they have to do it in overtime to get by Colorado State as north of 3 touchdown favorites. Now there's no Travis Hunter. This line against Oregon is shot up to 3 touchdowns, 21. Forget the cover. Any chance of them pulling off the unbelievable here and winning this outright?
Absolutely. When you've got that offense, absolutely. And let's see if they're one of those teams that just needs the extra juice, that extra fuel. And they're obviously a grievance team where, like, oh, my gosh, you said something bad about, you mocked my latte or something, and they'll get all upset about it. Like, that's kind of how they work.
Latte.
So, and it worked. Like, nobody believed in us against TCU. And, no, Matt Rule said bad stuff about my daddy and all that kind of stuff. But they were supposed to crush Colorado State. And so as much as they kind of wanted to make something out of the sunglasses comment, which was totally taken out of context by Jay Norvell, it didn't quite work. Now they get to do the, hey, look, no one believes in us again thing. And that seems to be just enough. That doesn't make up for the fact that they have no defense. But still, with that offense, yeah, they can. And you guys would know better than I would. I've never seen anything like it when it comes to the betting lines with Colorado. And I think the idea, the media, how they think of it, as the public, how they think of Colorado, and the betting public, how they think of Colorado, are 3 completely separate things. And it is just one of the weirdest things I can ever remember when it comes to trying to figure out lines.
Well, I will tell you that I love the story. I was very open about it on this show. I don't think I've ever said it about anything else where I rooted for something just for the content, and that was really it for Colorado. And I do have a Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter Heisman bets. Obviously, Hunter not looking good now at this point, but the Shedeur one does. At the number, I got 150-1. But, this was always the thing, even as this story has gone. This was where the rubber met the road, right? It's the Oregon-USC part of the schedule. So, I mean...
Well, sorry to cut you off, but the problem is your Shedeur bet. First of all, Travis Hunter, I told you that was never going to work. He's never going to win the Heisman. But Shedeur, the problem was they had first in 98.
Yeah.
And he had a Heisman moment.
Yeah, he did.
It was 2 a.m. on the East Coast, and no one saw it.
Don't sell it short. It was 2:30. That's what. Whose idea, Pete? And by the way, I talked about today. There's no day baseball, which is such a missed opportunity for baseball. Whose idea was it to just make that game as late as possible? It was so ridiculous.
I honestly assuming that everyone thought it was going to be 31-0 after the first quarter. Because Colorado State, what got weirded out in this whole thing was just how bad Colorado State has been for the last 4 years. And you're right. They should not have been close in this game. But that was a Heisman moment, and now let's see what happens. Because he gets boned. Because now the Heisman's going to shake out in the next 2 weeks. Because we have Bo Nix this week. If he rocks against that, he's got Caleb Williams coming to Colorado. And that's where that's going to happen. Not the pivot here, but if Sam Hart, you want to talk about where you're getting Sam Hartman? If he blows up on Ohio State, because everyone's going to watch that might be an early favorite there as well. So this is all going to be kind of crazy pretty quick because all those Pac-12 guys, they're all going to beat each other up. And every quarterback's going to throw for 350 yards every single game, and they're all going to kind of knock each other out. So who's going to rise up out of that whole pack when it comes to the Heisman betting?
All right, we got 4 minutes, so I want to do all this rapid fire, Pete. Colorado's adjusted season win total, by the way, 6.5. Remember, it was pre-flop 3.5. I don't need you to comment on that, but I want you to comment on Alabama's adjusted season win total, which is now 8.5. Are they going over that or not?
Of course they are. They're Alabama. They'll figure it out.
Of course
they're
you would
Alabama.
say that, Pete. Yes.
They do, though. Every time I think they don't, then all of a sudden they end up playing and winning the national championship. they'll figure something out. They'll adjust, and they'll have that midseason thing. So, yes, they will definitely go over the 8.5.
Pete, you were minus 1,000 to say over on that. I wish I could have bet on that.
Duh. Well, because it's Alabama. Because you know what? There are so many receipts paid by Alabama for the last 10 years. If I'm wrong on this, I'm still up a gajillion on this call.
All right, let's go through some of the great marquee games from this weekend. UCLA and Utah. The Utes favored by 4.5. Your thoughts?
I always take Utah at home, especially a close game like this. UCLA is absolutely the real deal, but until proven otherwise in this Pac-12 and this great year for the conference, keep taking the home team, especially if it's only 4.5.
All right, what about Ohio State and Notre Dame? Ohio State favored by 3.5.
Not even thinking, just throwing Ohio State, even though everyone I'm seeing likes Notre Dame. You know what, this might be the Texas, Alabama, sort of Florida State, LSU, North Carolina curveball we've seen. I wouldn't be shocked if Notre Dame wins, but Ohio State, I'm always, you know me, I'm always going to take talent over the storyline.
All right, let's go back to Alabama. What about Ole Miss at Bama? The Crimson Tide favored by 7 here.
Oh, Mr. Alabama here, as I was saying all that hoo-ha, I want nothing to do with this game. Ole Miss is good. They've got an offense. Lane Kiffin's. You want somehow you could bet on Lane Kiffin being the next Bama head coach. Do it, because that's going to happen in the next 3 years. I love this Ole Miss team. Bama's Bama at home. I never want to go against them. I want nothing to do with it. If I have to, I'm saying Bama, but not to cover.
Okay, with Alabama looking shaky, with Georgia not exactly dominating opponents, is Texas the most complete team in the country, and are they worth a national championship bet?
Y'all didn't see them. You know what? Talk about TV. No one saw that. It was on the Longhorn Network at the same time as Florida, Tennessee wrapping up, and just as Colorado was going. Texas was awful until the
fourth.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And the final score looked good. They're going to get beaten by someone. Whether it's first of all, it's Texas. They're going to blow it. But if you want to talk about who looks complete right now,
yes,
LSU. It might be too late. They can't lose another game. But if you're to go with your original thought and point, if Alabama's struggling and the SEC is looking really, really meh, LSU looked like a killer against Mississippi State, and Mississippi State's got a defense, and they couldn't do anything to stop that. So if LSU figured it out again, kind of like they did last year, they still got that big matzo ball hanging in the back at the end there if they get to the SEC championship like they did last season with Georgia. But they are looking really, really good.
Note, Kelly, that he did not say FSU. He said LSU.
Yes, that is correct. Yep.
Note that. My buddy was like, "Is Oklahoma worth it?" I'm like, "Please, no, Oklahoma, do not do that." So LSU would be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we sure? I mean, that offense all of a sudden is working again. I mean, Oklahoma, Texas is a toss-up at this point.
Yeah.
So
can't do it.
if you're thinking that, I get it. It's Oklahoma. They're not winning the national championship, but they're pretty good until proven otherwise. There are a couple under the radar teams: Ohio State, Penn State, and even Oklahoma, Penn State, and to a certain extent, we'll find out this week, Notre Dame.
Thank you, Pete.
Those three.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.